This Honorable House resumes the sitting. Please be seated. Let me at this time apologize to the public, general public that is, for our late start. It is not that we were delinquent, but it was to ensure that you, the public, would be able to see and hear the proceedings of this assembly. And so, I would therefore invite the next speaker to come to the podium and make his presentation. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning. Mr. President, I rise to make my contribution to the bill that is before this Honorable House. The Nevis Appropriation 2021, Ordinance 2020. Under the theme, Rebuilding Our Economy, a People-Centered Approach to Economic Recovery. Mr. President, it was President Barack Obama who said in his United Nations General Assembly presentation of 2014, and I quote, "We choose hope over fear. We see the future not as something out of our control, but as something we can shape for the better through concerted and collective efforts," end of quote. I want, Mr. President, to bring to the people of Nevis this morning a message of hope. We heard from the other side yesterday that it was all gloom and doom. The sky was falling in, and the sea, water from the seas was. I want, Mr. President, also to draw to your attention and this Honorable House an article written on the 1st of December 2020 by a Eunice Gergen in Ankara, Turkey, at the heading, OECD predicts 4.2% global growth in 2021. And, Mr. President, to that subheading, for the first time since pandemic, there is no hope for brighter future, but economic outlook remains uncertain, said the OECD. Mr. President, the article went on to state that the global economy is set to grow 4.2% in 2021. The Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, said on Tuesday, the 1st of December. The latest OECD Economic Outlook report, however, revised its global economic shrinkage forecast to 4.2%, down from 4.5% in September. The global economy will gain momentum over the coming 2 years, with global GDP at pre-pandemic levels by the end of 2021. Hope, Mr. President. After a sharp decline this year, global GDP is projected to rise by around 4.2% in 2021 and a further 3.7% in 2022, the report states. It highlighted that for the first time since the pandemic began, there is hope for the future due to news of effective vaccines, but the near-term outlook remains very uncertain. The organization warned that governments will have to continue using their policy instruments actively, with better targeting to help those hardest hit by the pandemic. Mr. President, that for me is a message of hope. And I want to commence my presentation in earnest with our Labor Department. For me, this department was one of the departments, Mr. President, was on the front line. And I've asked, what is the mission of our Labor Department? And I was sent their mission statement. I wanted to be sure. And I want to read it into the record, Mr. President, the mission statement of our Labor Department. It states, to monitor and regulate relationships between employers and employees in an effort to promote industrial peace and harmony at the workplace, thus ensuring job security and employment stability. Mr. President, I believe that our Labor Department, over the last few months in particular, have certainly sought to ensure job security and employment stability. They, Mr. President, have done, in my mind, a yeoman job in trying to manage the situation as it regards to the sudden increase in unemployment on the island of Nevis. Our Labor Department, Mr. President, assisted in 2019 with the review of our legislation, the tripartite committee review of this legislation. They were front and center as part of this committee. And we certainly want to thank them, Mr. President, for their involvement. They provided employment agency services where if there are vacancies within the private sector and also in the public sector, that they can make certain recommendations so that these vacancies can be filled. All of the plans, or most of the plans for 2020 were derailed, Mr. President, because of the pandemic. Our big job fair for 2020 had to be canceled because of the global pandemic. But plans are very much afoot once things get back to some semblance of normalcy, that we will have our job fair in 2021. They continue to have a number of inspections, routine inspections to various businesses despite the close down and despite the pandemic. They sought to ensure, Mr. President, that there was compliance in the workplace, that the labor regulations were enforced, provide information and advice to both employers and employees as to their rights and their pathway to having certain issues addressed, Mr. President. Mr. President, I believe that this department, albeit a very small unit, and we expect that they will continue to do more. We expect in the new year that they will continue to have some training as it regards to seeking to improve their routine inspections, and in particular with areas of environmental health, as that is paramount importance as it regards to occupational health and safety in the workplace. So we will ensure, Mr. President, that in the new year, that unit will be beefed up. We continue to see many labor disputes. And not to say all of the various areas, but one of the areas, Mr. President, that jumps out at me significantly is the matter of holiday pay. It seems to me that businesses are having an issue with this matter of holiday pay. I want to encourage our various businesses on the island of Nevis to not only work with the Labor Department to make sure that they get this matter corrected and have the necessary information at their fingertips so that when persons decide to go and take a vacation, that there is no issue. We at the Labor Department will ensure, Mr. President, that this is an area that we give some attention to in the new year. The statistics as it regards to the labor market on the island of Nevis. The data for our review period, January to September 2020, showed that the number of jobs on Nevis ranged from 4,706 in September to 6,137 in February, with an average of 5,384 jobs per month. For the same period, in 2019, we saw there was an average of 6,072, which gives an indication of approximately 11.3% decline, or 687 in the average number of jobs in 2020 as it relates to 2019. The top 5 economic sectors saw the following movement. Public administration and defense sector accounted for an average of 1,827, or 33.9% of jobs this year. This sector, however, saw a decline in just 1%, or 14 jobs in 2020 versus 2019. And this is significant, Mr. President, because it continued to be the policy of this government, as far as possible, not to, as it were, do any retrenchment as it regards to labor. We want to ensure that we keep our people, or as many of our people, working as possible. And 1% in this climate is indeed commendable. In the hotel and restaurant sector, which accounted for 19.5% of the jobs this year, or 1,050. This sector, however, recorded a decline in jobs of some 17%, or 211 jobs in 2020 versus 2019. And that was felt. In the wholesale and retail trade sectors, this accounted for an average of 659, or 12.2% of the jobs this year. This sector, however, recorded a decline of approximately 6%, or 46 jobs in 2020 versus 2019. The construction sector accounted for an average of 8.4%, or 452 of the jobs this year. This sector also saw a decline, and the second largest percentage decline of 23%, or 136 jobs in 2020 versus 2019. It is clear, Mr. President, that COVID-19 have had a significant impact on the job market here on the island of Nevis, with percentage ranging from 5% all the way up to 33%. But I believe that there is certainly hope on the horizon. We have seen between July to August over 300 plus applicants for severance payment. Between September and December, we have seen some 361 plus for severance payment claim. Presently, there are some 717 applicants for severance payment claim. And Mr. President, this is the sad part that I really don't like. To date, we only see approximately 100 of those 717 claims that have been honored or settled. I want to make this appeal that I am hoping that with the onset of Christmas, just around the corner, that we can see some significant movement in the settlement of these severance claims. Across the various sectors, in hospitality we see 556, in construction 50, in the financial sector we see 20, in telecom 5, services 50, transportation 25. So all across the various sectors, Mr. President, we see that there is that claim for severance payment. And to date, an approximately $1.02 million, Mr. President, have been paid in severance. For the Social Security COVID relief, we have seen some 1,800 plus persons claiming for the Social Security COVID relief fund. And to date, some $4.2 million have been paid, Mr. President, to persons who have claimed from this fund. I want to encourage our people, Mr. President, that if for nothing else, that COVID-19 have taught us that we need to save a little something for a rainy day. I know that the Premier have been speaking about this time and time and time again. And he gets a lot of curse for it, but I'm going to say it again. I'm going to repeat it. Our people need to begin to put a little something away for a rainy day. Because I am certain, maybe, and I hope that not in our lifetime, that we will see another pandemic like COVID. But this should teach us a lesson that we need to be prepared for that eventuality. In 2021, Mr. President, the Labor Department will certainly continue its routine inspection. And we will see how best we can beef up the inspection team to ensure that they undertake these inspections and give some more teeth to their various inspections. We hope to have our job fair in 2021 once the environment and the climate return to some semblance of normalcy. And we certainly, Mr. President, will continue in our training and our human capacity development. I want to thank our Chief Labor Officer, Mr. Gary Liebert, and his staff, because I believe in 2020, more so than ever, they have been dealt a tough card, in more ways than one. They have lost one of their committed and dedicated members over the last few weeks, and they are still trying to recover from that. And they continue to work under significant pressure as it regards to severance payment, social security claim, and trying to find employment for our people in this difficult period. I want to say how thankful I am for their dedication and commitment to nation building. And I believe that they have done yeoman service for the people of Nevis in this very difficult and trying time, Mr. President. I want to move very quickly to the Nevis Post Office. And here again, we have seen that COVID have dealt our post office another body blow. For 2019, we have seen that they have generated revenue in the amount of just approximately $540,000. And for the same period, 2020, we are seeing a figure of $355,000, a decrease of some 66%, Mr. President, in the revenue at our post office. Here again, another team on the front line. They have opened during the COVID, try to accommodate our people, especially those who were receiving foreign remittance and medication from overseas. They sought to accommodate them, Mr. President. We suffered what I would call an international problem at our post office when our borders were closed. International in the sense that because of the closure of our borders, commercial flights to St. Kitts and Nevis ceased. Therefore, our mails from Europe, Canada, and other parts of the world did not have a pathway to get to St. Kitts and Nevis. And even, Mr. President, if they got to places like Antigua or Barbados, we suffered another mishap as our major carrier, Liat, was still grounded. This is a global issue, Mr. President, as it regards to movement of mails. And both the Universal Postal Union and the Caribbean Post and our postal operators are exploring all avenues in an effort to try and have our mails move, because it is creating a problem. We did not have that problem coming out of the US, however, because Amerijet still fly to St. Kitts and Nevis during the COVID period. And I believe that that saw some activity that resulted in this $355,000 revenue generation for 2020. Our postal celebration 2020 had to be curtailed under the environment that we are now in. However, we still had a church service at the Church of God of Prophecy in Quaddock Road. There was a hike at the lighthouse at Long Point, and the staff had a small and intimate and unique appreciation dinner. And I believe that all who attended, even though under the COVID protocol, did have a wonderful evening. I want to make special recognition of our Officer of the Year, Mr. Dinsdale Pemberton. He continued to go beyond the call of duty, especially in this COVID climate, and have done a remarkable job in ensuring that there were movement in our mails here on the island of Nevis. I also want to congratulate our retiree, Mr. Evan Davis. I think we know him as, am I permitted to call nickname, Mr. President? I think we know him as Gravity. I want to also thank him for his dedication and commitment over the years. And he has decided, even though he is retired, that he would return and give some training to the person who would take over from him in the St. Paul's and Charleston area. So I really want to congratulate him and commend him for that gesture, Mr. President. I want to wish him a happy retirement. And just as Nathan does, we have an open door policy to him. He can come in and work at any time. So I want to congratulate him and certainly wish him a happy retirement. 2020, we are expecting to rely heavily on technology and innovation, because I believe while we were moving in that direction, we recognized that COVID have hastened that step in the use of technology and innovation. And by the first quarter of 2021, we are expected to have our postal service here automated, Mr. President. The staff at the post office is presently undergoing some training in our Customs Declaration System, or CDS, which is mandatory to advance data exchange between post and customs, and that will come into effect in January of 2021. And this is critical because globally, every package, every item that is moving in the postal system, at the receiving end, the information of everything about that package must be known before that package arrives. And we are ensuring that we are putting the necessary mechanisms in place so that that will be done. I want to use this opportunity and congratulate as well the Deputy Postmaster there at the post office, Ms. Rhonda Fobbs-Williams, and her staff, her management team, for, in my mind, going beyond the call of duty again in COVID. They have opened, they have had to do some shift arrangement, they have had to work a bit earlier and later to accommodate general public. And I want to thank them for their service and for their continued dedication to the people of Nevis. Not much is often said, Mr. President, about the Nevis Philatelic Bureau. And this is a small unit, but a very important entity as it regards to the service that it provides for the people on the island of Nevis. In 2019, we saw that they issued 9 postage stamps and generated revenue of some $392,177 from the issuing of stamps. In 2020, under the same period, we saw a reduction of some 32% in revenue collection, amounting to approximately $125,000. There again, borders were closed, can't move our mails. It is showing in the revenue collection at the Nevis Philatelic Bureau. I want to commend the staff there, Mrs. Patricia Blake and her staff, for continue to man this unit and continue to play their part as it regards to trying to ensure that the island of Nevis continue to issue some stamps for the world to see. I want, Mr. President, to switch very quickly to our Nevis physical planning and environment. This is a department that is front and center when it comes to the development of the island of Nevis. And they continue to do their work without much fanfare. They get a lot of cuss, all kind of things is said about them, but they continue to forge ahead, Mr. President. This, in my mind, is a department that will continue to play a pivotal role in the development of the island of Nevis. They continue to do and see much staff development and training, because we believe that staff training and staff development will ensure that they are equipped with the necessary tools to fulfill the mandate of the Nevis Physical Planning Department and Environment. During 2020, despite the lockdown, they continue to do a number of virtual training. They did some virtual training in GIS, hosted by the United Nations Committee of Experts on Global Geophysical Information Management, digital cartography and evaluation of location intelligence, hosted by the Geophysical Awareness Hub. They did some certificate in proficiency in 501 IPCC, Introduction to Cross-Cutting Issues, offered by the Greenhouse Gas Management Institute. They also did a 541 IPC, Forestry and Other Land Uses, offered by the Greenhouse Gas Management Institute. They did some training exercise, Mr. President, in Trimble, and this, as it relates to handheld procedures by the Nevis Water Department, hosted by Sada Ali of HLCM Group Incorporated. They are currently involved in the planning and implementation of the Nevis Water Department resource mapping exercise. And this mapping exercise is to ensure that the island of Nevis would be able to know exactly where all of the pipes on the island are located. We want to be sure that if there is an issue, that the issue can be pinpointed very quickly. They are currently also involved with some pre-census mapping that is assisting the Department of Statistics. They are currently also involved in preliminary activity data collection for the third National Communication and Biannual Update for St. Kitts and Nevis, facilitated by the Department of Environment on St. Kitts. All of these, Mr. President, are training and areas of involvement that the Nevis Physical Planning Department is involved in. And we are expecting that once this training would have been completed, that we will see the benefit to the people of Nevis in the execution of their work. In the area of environment, Mr. President, the department is now staffed with an employee who holds a master's degree in maritime affairs with specialization in ocean sustainability governance and management. And I am hoping that these improved marine skills will help us not only in our planning department but also in our fishing sector. Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries can call upon that particular resource, because I believe across the board our various skill sets must be used in the development of Nevis holistically. During this period, the department participated in discussions and decision-making as it relates to projects in sensitive ecosystems. The Fort Charles Project, the St. Kitts and Nevis Conserving Biodiversity Project. These are two critical projects, Mr. President, that our planning department were involved with. Our inspectors participated in some in-house training as it relates to certain electrical, new transformation of electrical technologies. And we believe, Mr. President, that these training and knowledge acquisition would help significantly as it regards to renewable energy and solar in particular. Mr. President, for 2020, we saw at the building department, at the planning department, some 271 applications. Despite the COVID situation and despite the closure of the island, we saw some 271 applications so far. A total number of approval, 212. 131 of those applications, Mr. President, have commenced construction in this environment. 131. And I believe that the incentive that this government have given to our people have spurred them to proceed with their construction despite the COVID situation. Tourist-related projects, 6. Apartments, 5. Commercial or industrial projects, 12. Commercial or industrial, 12. Mr. President, our planning department, I expect that they would shift their focus somewhat and become a bit more aggressive as it regards to compliance on the island of Nevis. And I want to, from this rostrum, say to the people of Nevis that every single structure on the island of Nevis that is to be constructed must be approved by the Nevis Physical Planning Department. Let me say it again. Every single structure that is to be constructed on the island of Nevis must be approved by the Nevis Physical Planning Department. If it's not approved, and the planning department issued a stop order, then so be it. In 2021, Mr. President, we are hoping that we would continue our thrust as it regards to a number of regulations that we hope will come into being. We are hoping that we will be passing the protected areas legislation. We expect that there would be some electrical guidelines that will be furnished to architects and electrician contractors, because we need to see some improvement in that area. We expect that we will have some training sessions with service providers, architects, plumbers, and contractors. We are hoping that during the year 2021, that the Cabinet will approve the Nevis Physical Development Plan, the revised Nevis Physical and Development Plan. We would seek to ensure that we do some training as it regards to environmental impact assessment, because that is an area that we feel need to be given some closer attention as it regards to environmental impact assessment that is being submitted to the planning department. We will seek to build some capacity in our environmental unit, and also we will add some additional capacity in our GIS unit. In 2021, we will ensure that the road naming policy will come into fusion, Mr. President, and those various villages and communities that want to go through the process of renaming streets, village roads, that they can have a process to which to do so. 2020 was a testing year for the planning department in many ways. And I want to use this opportunity to thank the outgoing director, or the former director, Mr. Joel Williams, for his service over the years as the director of the Nevis Physical Planning and Environment Department. I believe that he would have worked with the tools that he was given to ensure that the island of Nevis move forward as it regards to the development process. I want to encourage, however, the incoming director, Mr. Raoul Pemberton, because we recognize that planning issues will test him. And I believe that in time, we hope and we expect that he will continue to do a yeoman job at the planning department as it regards to the development of the island of Nevis for the benefit of the people of Nevis. I certainly also want to thank all of the staff there at our physical planning department. I believe that they too continue to go above and beyond the call of duty, Mr. President. Mr. President, in 2020, there was some 3,500 inspection on construction site on the island of Nevis. Over 3,500. And that is an indication that one, construction is still alive and well on the island of Nevis, and two, the building inspectors are ensuring that they do what they need to do as it regards to construction development on the island of Nevis. And I want to thank the building inspectors, Chief Building Inspector Mr. Marvin Hanley. Quiet individual, but he often does his work. And the entire team of building inspectors there at our planning department. Quickly, Mr. President, I want to move on to water. And 2020, we saw a number of things happening in water. And one of the development that we have had in water in 2019 and coming into 2020 was the retirement of one of our long-standing consultant, engineer, advisor, project manager, not only to the NIA but also to the CDB project, Mr. Brian Kennedy. And while he retired, he passed on Wednesday, the 11th of November 2020, at the age of 89. And the contribution that Mr. Kennedy have made to the development of water on the island of Nevis will certainly be a lasting legacy. At his service at the Roman Catholic Church, the pastor made a very interesting comment. He was speaking about kindness and generosity and give to others. And he mentioned that being kind, we can give others a glass of water. And he asked the question, how many glasses of water have Mr. Kennedy given to the people of Nevis? And I thought that that statement was instructive because Mr. Kennedy have given to the island of Nevis many, many millions of gallons of water to the people of Nevis. Not only because of his generosity, but because of his love for the island and for the people of Nevis. And I want to place on record, Mr. President, this government's thanks and appreciation for the service that he have rendered to the island and to the people of Nevis, to his wife and family, not only here, but those overseas. That Mr. Brian Kennedy has left a legacy that will live on the island of Nevis for many, many generations to come. Because he has given us many glasses of water, Mr. President. The water department remained busy during 2020, despite the lockdown. They undertook a number of projects throughout the island, in particular the Craddock Road rehabilitation project. Some 1,000 plus feet were completed. In the Ramsbury area, some 1,300 feet of 2-inch HDPE pipe was laid. They contributed significantly, Mr. President, to the Hamilton filtration project. As a matter of fact, I think that they did the heavy lifting on this project. They connected the water filtration unit to the Hamilton well. They did the connection for the water filtration unit to the Hamilton new tank. They did the connection of the Charleston pump line to the Hamilton stone tank. So they have been busy. And they played a major role in the water filtration unit there, Mr. President. And I want to say all kudos to them, because I believe that their involvement gives the testimony that we have the requisite skills here on the island to undertake certain projects on the island of Nevis. And I want to commend them, Mr. President. And we are giving them the chance, absolutely. They have done, Mr. President, some work in the Upper Websgown area, where some 4,200 feet of pipe were laid, despite the lockdown. To date, of that project, some 4,000 feet were laid and 3,300 have been pressurized. And we are hoping that we will have that project fully completed. We have also added into that project some fire hydrants in that area, because in the Upper Websground Estate, Harris's area, they did not have public water. And added to that, we wanted to make sure that we built in some safety mechanism by adding in some fire hydrants in the area. They have also done some work in the Claygott, Horatio Heights area, where we saw some 1,400 feet of 4-inch PVC pipes. We also saw the decommissioning in that area of 1.5-inch PVC pipe, which was creating some problems and issues in the area. In the Cades Crescent, Westbury area, there was some 1,000 feet of 4-inch PVC pipe that were laid, replacing the 1-inch mains. And here again, because of the 1-inch main, we have seen some low pressure and some issues in that area. They did some work in the Upper Stony Grove area to accommodate some work by the Public Works Department. They did, Mr. President, some connection as it regards to our chlorination units at Spring Hill, Stony Hill, Camps, and Foothills. And these chlorination units automatically injects chlorine into the storage tank that were once done manually. And we believe that this is the step in the right direction, seeing that we would be able to have our water chlorinated using the various technologies that are available to us. We have done some upgrade and continue to outfit a number of our pumps with standby generators. And the idea is that even if there is a loss of electricity, that these pumps can still perform their function as it regards to ensuring that we have a steady water supply on the island of Nevis. I am hoping that in the future we can change those generators to solar and ensure that we have an even more economical power supply to power our pumping stations. For 2021, Mr. President, we will ensure that we continue to do our training in the various skill sets at our water department. In 2021, we expect that we will have an e-pay platform where persons can stay in the comfort of their homes and overseas and pay their water bill. We expect that we will have an updated billing system that will be able to generate a lot more information and data that will give some better guidance in terms of our water projection and our water planning. We'll continue also to do some upgrading in our pipe network, where there are still a few areas of old pipes in the system. As I said before, Mr. President, we are embarking on this exercise of mapping our water pipes using GPS and GIS. And we believe that this will be a critical component in our water department development. We will seek to develop written policies and procedures for the department as it regards to things like overdue bills and other areas of concern at the water department, Mr. President. We also will seek to improve our data collection within the department, because everything must be driven by data. And we are hoping that that will be an ongoing exercise in the new year. During COVID, Mr. President, with the trust placed on agriculture and with a number of persons losing their jobs, the COVID Water Assistance Relief Program saw some 75 crop farmers being offered assistance. Some 54 livestock farmers were also offered assistance, Mr. President. And some 161 residents were offered assistance under the COVID Water Assistance Relief Program. And I believe, Mr. President, that our water department continue to play their part in ensuring that we continue to fight this COVID pandemic. Some statistics as it regards to water production from 2017 to present. In 2017, we saw a total water production of 537,661 imperial gallons. In 2018, we saw 564,386,000 imperial gallons. In 2019, we saw some 571,209,032 imperial gallons. And to date, in 2020, we are seeing just a little over 485 million imperial gallons up to October 2020. The demand continues to increase, and we continue to try our best to meet the demand, Mr. President. Mr. President, the Hamilton Filtration Project, we are seeing that there is an approximate capacity of some 309,000 imperial gallons per day, which is equating to some 9.2 to 9.5 million gallons per month at the Hamilton water filtration. Let me repeat that again, Mr. President. The capability of production at the Hamilton filtration system, the well have a capacity of 309 imperial gallons per day. 309,000 imperial gallons per day, or 9.2 to 9.5 million gallons per month. And they gave me these two figures because one was calculated with 13 days per month, and the other one was calculated at 31 days per month. Mr. President, at the Hamilton Filtration site thus far. We have treated some 5.9 million imperial gallons, with 5.5 million imperial gallons being placed into the supply system already. Let me call the exact figure. I want to give them the exact figure. At the Hamilton filtration site thus far, we have treated some 5,908,784 imperial gallons of water, with 5,572,800 imperial gallons already being placed in the system from that filtration plant at Hamilton. Well, Mr. President, I want to say how delighted I am over this project, because we feel on the island of Nevis that we should always have more water that we need at any given point. I would rather have more water than we need than to be in need of water. And that, Mr. President, is our mission, to make sure that we have more water than we need. In regards to water storage capacity, Mr. President, the island of Nevis embarked on a CDB project some years ago. And pre-CDB, we had a storage capacity of 2.1 million gallons of water. And post-CDB, we saw an increased storage capacity of 3.1 million gallons of water, storage capacity on the island. From 2.1 to 3.1. But we are not done yet, Mr. President. We have the water storage tank at Pond Hill to construct. And I believe that funding was already available from Social Security. So we are hoping that we will see that project come on stream early in the new year. Added storage capacity at the Pond Hill area. We are also currently repairing the stone tank at Hamilton, which will give some added storage capacity, Mr. President. As it regards to our water production presently, with the Hamilton site included, in the Charlestown area, we are seeing some 460,000 gallons per day. In the Maddens Butlers area, we are seeing 876,960 gallons per day. And in the Gingerland area, we are seeing some 786,680 gallons per day. So we are getting our water resources throughout the length and breadth of the island of Nevis. And I believe that with the CDB project that was completed, that builds some redundancy in the system, we can now move water all over Nevis because of the CDB project. And I believe that that is a good thing, Mr. President, because if we have some issues in one area, we can then shift to another. Total available production daily, 2,125,440 imperial gallons per day. This, Mr. President, is a step in the right direction. And we will continue to move in that direction as it regards to our water production. I want to use this opportunity to thank the former manager, Mr. Roger Hanley, for the role that he has played in the development of water on the island of Nevis. I believe over the years he has been instrumental. In the last 15 years, you have been instrumental in many of these projects. And I want to use this rostrum and this platform to express our sincere thanks and appreciation to him for the service that he has rendered over the years. I want to also encourage our incoming manager, Ms. Tonya Bartlett, and wish her certainly every success in this position as she seeks to ensure that we move water development on the island of Nevis forward. With the Water Department, Mr. President, we also have the Nevis Integrated Water Resource Management Unit. A lot of effort is being placed on water because we believe that if we are to see any significant development on the island of Nevis, that we must have the appropriate availability of water on the island of Nevis. This is a new unit created in January of 2019. And this unit has been very instrumental in the Hamilton filtration project. They continue, Mr. President, to look at ways in which we can improve our water resources, and in particular as it regards to agriculture. And they are making some discoveries that we can do a number of things with our various infrastructure in water that will give and allow our agriculture sector to have additional water. One of the strategies, Mr. President, is to redevelop what we call alternative rainwater sources that we believe that the Agriculture Department can use a lot more of. These sources include earthen dams in the Westbury area, New River Spring, New River Well, redevelopment of wells in Hickman's and Hickman's 1 and Hickman's 2, which are no longer being used by the Nevis Water Department. We feel that if we can redevelop these wells, we can turn those wells over to agriculture and provide additional water to the agriculture sector. So our Water Resource Management Unit has been working feverishly on those initiatives, Mr. President. I am hopeful that this unit will continue to explore new ways in the redevelopment of our water resources, conservation in our water resources. And while I speak of conservation, Mr. President, we have seen what I call a very small but tangible project in the USAID water supply to a number of schools here on the island of Nevis. This was a project where we saw a few schools that were outfitted with storage tanks. And while all of the schools on Nevis weren't outfitted, we believe that this is a step in the right direction because we feel that if there is a disruption in the supply of water from the Water Department, that all of the schools on Nevis should still be able to operate. And we are going to take it a step further, Mr. President. Government buildings. We believe that government buildings can, in my mind, use what we call some alternative supply of water. And this is an initiative that our Water Resource Management will seek to pursue in 2021. Because in most of these buildings, it's just a matter of using water for sanitary purposes. And we believe that that is an area that we can create some alternative option for water use that will create or reduce a stress on the potable water on the island of Nevis. Mr. President, the Water Resource Management Unit played an integral role in the filtration system at Hamilton. As a matter of fact, they were the focal point in trying to pull all of this together. And I believe that they have done two-person team, and sometimes I think that we recognize we can do more with less. It's a two-person team, and they were the focal point, Mr. President, for this water filtration system, greatly assisted by our permanent secretary to make sure that things flow. But our water resource management unit was the focal point of this project. And I believe that they have done a remarkable job in ensuring that this water filtration system came online, came on stream, pull all of the themes together, and ensure that today we can boast of additional water in our system. And I want to congratulate our water resource manager, Mr. Floyd Robinson. And I know sometimes he's under some pressure in this project, but I believe that he did extremely well in ensuring that this project was delivered to the people of Nevis. I want to switch quickly, Mr. President, to our project management unit, another small unit within the ministry. And this, again, Mr. President, is a unit that continues to do great work. They were able to have completed the data collection phase for the Fort Charles Protection Project. And we have the information, and just as most things, COVID would have interrupted this process. But we are hoping in the new year we will seek to pursue this initiative as it regards to the Fort Charles Protection Project. We will need to have the environmental impact assessment done, and we are hoping that we can have that completed early in 2021. This unit continued to prepare the necessary documents for a number of projects that we were hoping to come on stream in 2020. They completed the documentation and the brief for the water drilling project for the island of Nevis, where we sought funding in the amount of just over $4 million from the Sustainable Development Fund. And Mr. President, I was disappointed that we weren't successful in accessing that fund. Extremely disappointed. I am hoping that with the reopening of our borders and with the reports that our CBI program is doing well again, that we will be able to get access to some of this $4.16 million to have this water drilling project on the island of Nevis. I'm hoping in 2021. However, Mr. President, we will seek alternative funding wherever we find it. If we can get grant funding, better. But we will not seek to burden the people of Nevis with additional debt. But this water drilling project is critical and important to the island of Nevis. And we are hoping that we will see some movement with this project in the new year. The project management unit would have also completed the documentation for the Charlestown Community Center, which we were hoping would have come on stream, but because of our financial constraint, we have had to defer. They have also completed the project review for the science lab that we were contemplating at the Charlestown Primary School, and we are now looking at whether we should do it at the Charlestown Primary School or build a science lab for the entire island of Nevis. And the jury is still out on that, Mr. President. But the document has been prepared. They have also prepared the documentation for the proposed Ivor Walters Primary School upgrade project. That, again, finance availability, and these are a number of projects that in 2021 we will continue to do the necessary preparatory work, Mr. President, that when the resources becomes available, we will hope to move these projects forward. This unit have supervised the management of the NASPA project there in Charlestown, the Charleston Cruise Tender Pier, and they have done the necessary supervision and had oversight of that project. They have reviewed and prepared some costings and document for the Charlestown Police Station rehabilitation project that we hope will come on stream in the near future. Mr. President, as I said, this is a small unit. Small unit, but they continue to do tremendous work on a number of initiatives that we hope to see come online in the not-too-distant future. In 2021, we are hoping that this unit will have some oversight over trying to procure some funding to have the environmental impact assessment done on the Fort Charles Protection Project. We expect that we will have some training in project management across the various ministries, because I believe with proper project management, we can do some saving within the budget, the various budget cycles, Mr. President. We expect that we will have some training in the new year with contractors as it regards to calls for tender on building work projects. There appeared to be some reluctance from many of our contractors to respond to tenders because of the process and the procedures that they have to go through as it regards to completing these tenders. And we feel, and we believe that there are good contractors on Nevis. But because of that hesitation and that reluctance to partake in the tender process, many of them are losing out. So we will offer some training in the tender process in 2021 so that these contractors can make themselves a bit more marketable. And while I am on construction, Mr. President, we have seen from all of the data, and we have seen from the information from our planning department that this is a sector that is one of the driving forces in our economy. It is our hope in the new year that we will create a unit that deals with the construction sector. I know we have had in the past the electrical commissioner on the island of Nevis. And we are looking at redirecting perhaps that entity perhaps as a construction commissioner that will have oversight of persons who are willing to become contractors, the process that persons can go through to become contractors. We are hoping that we can have a dialogue with the financial sector as it regards to some of the issues that they are facing in the construction sector, the insurance companies, the hardware suppliers. And we want, Mr. President, to ensure that in 2021, some meaningful and tangible attention can be given to this sector, because it is a sector that is important to the development of the island of Nevis. But there appears to be no process, no procedure as it regards to this sector, Mr. President. Mr. President, For 2021, this unit will seek to, we're in the process of trying to find some better accommodation for this unit. And the nature of our financial situation, we have had to defer that process, Mr. President. We are hoping that we will be able to access some other tools and resources for this unit so that they can execute their work in a much more efficient and timely manner. So some of the challenges that this unit is facing, we are hoping that we'll be able to overcome them in 2021. So, Mr. President, I want to use this opportunity also to thank and congratulate the director of our project management unit, Ms. Lillian Richards, and her staff for the work that they have done despite the challenges of 2020. I believe that they continue to deliver whenever we call upon them, and I am confident that they will certainly continue to deliver in the new year and beyond. As I said, it's a small unit, but they continue to ensure that they deliver, Mr. President, all that we ask of them. Public Works. This department is certainly the heavy lifter of the ministry. And for 2020, they have been engaged in a number of projects that came to completion despite the disruption caused by the COVID pandemic. They were able to significantly complete the Brown Hill Road Rehabilitation Project Phase 2. And I want to pause, Mr. President, and to say to our motorists that they must drive with jukia and attention on these roads. Let me say it again. I want to encourage our drivers to drive with jukia and attention on these roads. The kind of speed that I saw in Brown Hill about 2 weeks ago, it is cause for concern, Mr. President. We have a primary school in Brown Hill, and I'm appealing to our motorists to please slow down. Nowhere in Nevis is far you don't have any 100 miles to drive to. You can get to anywhere in Nevis within 15 to 20 minutes, driving at the mandated speed limit. The Public Works Department would have completed the second phase of that road. There are still 1 or 2 areas that we have to bring to 100% completion. We have the guardrail there at Bridgegot to install, 1 or 2 property boundaries to reset. And I am thankful that we were able to do that work, local expertise. Local expertise. Local input. Majority of the equipment operators on the island of Nevis benefited. So I want to give kudos to the team there at the Public Works Department for completing that section of the road. The Quaddock Road Village Rehabilitation Project, and again, this is a village road. I want to encourage the drivers. I've been asked already about speed bumps coming down Quaddock Road, and it is something that we'll definitely have to look at, because while there is the need for road improvement, our drivers must ensure that they use the road wisely so that they can protect property and limb. The lives that they save, Mr. President, can be their very own. So I want to encourage them to slow down. We also did some drainage work in the Ramsbury area. And those persons who often would drive from where the flow main office is going towards the playfield often had some water settlement in that area. And we were able to deal with that issue. And I think that that was, in my mind, important because it eliminated the health risk that was in that area. We have a primary school in that area, and we sought to eliminate that water stagnant that was building up in that area. And I want to thank the team there at the Public Works Department for ensuring that that simple. We did some road rehabilitation in the New Treasury area and on the Bayfront. We also did the milling from Ex-Petrol to Camps Road Junction to the Methodist Church. We milled it and had it resurfaced. We also did some work in the Braziers Stony Grove area. They did the paving of the Bath Village Hard Court. And I see that the good folks at the Youth and Sports already had it marked, and I'm hoping that we will have some.
You want more done. I have more work to do.
You see what I mean, Mr. President?
Let's see it.
But I am happy that we were able to complete that Bath Village Hard Court. We, as the Minister of Youth and Sports indicated, more will be done.
Yes.
We have the hard court there in Stony Grove with the tennis court. We know we have some work to be done on that. And the netball court, because netball is back with a bang again.
Yes.
So, well, Mr. President, we saw the construction of some 600 feet in the Clegot area. And this was an area that we once again saw some drainage issues. And we are hoping that we'll be able to complete the entire area in the new year. We did a section that we sought to eliminate some drainage issue. In the Fig Tree area, we did some work on the culvert and water course. We also did some trial milling with our new milling machine in the agro-processing area and Nevlec. And the team would have did some trials in that area and also did the resurfacing of that section of road. These are some small projects, Mr. President, but I believe that the road could continue to bring significant relief to our people. And we know that there is a tremendous demand for road improvement. We are seeing that the completion of some road works in Box Hill. There was some U-drain construction and retaining wall in that area that we were able to complete. We are presently doing some work in the Kids Crescent area and in the Maddens area, next to the Baptist Church to the Agriculture Station. We are also doing that as well, Mr. President. So the Public Works Department Road Division remained busy in 2020 despite the slowdown. And I expect that with the new milling machine in 2021, we expect them to be even more busier in 2021. Our Buildings Division, we started the repair shop at the government garage. And that is a project that is ongoing, and we are hoping that we will see the completion of that project once the necessary resources are available in 2021. I believe, Mr. President, that the welders and the body repair at the government repair shop needed some much improved working conditions, and we sought to ensure that they were given the necessary improved conditions, because we don't want any excuse that they can't. We don't want to hear no excuse. We want to hear that they are producing, and with these improved conditions, we hope that we will see the improvement and the productivity from that area. We were instrumental in assisting the Agriculture Department as Prospect in constructing a building there to host a number of freezers. How much is it? 6 freezers? 6 freezers. And we hope that with those 6 freezers that the Agriculture Department would be able to store more of what we grow. And the building team from the Public Works Department were instrumental in constructing that particular building, Mr. President. 2021 is expected to be a year cautiously optimistic. Cautiously optimistic. We have at our fingertips the design and the costing for the second phase of the Island Main Road from Cliff Dwellers to camps via Newcastle. We have the costing, we have the design. We don't have the money. We don't have the money. Mr. President, we have the design, but we don't have the money. We also have the design, Mr. President, from Casebay through Fountain and Mount Lily, all the way back over to camps. Same story. We have the design, but we don't. Mr. President, I am cautiously optimistic, and I live in hope that we will see a way in 2021. We will see a way. We also have a number of secondary roads that we are hoping that we'll be able to see completed in 2021. We'll take our time. The resources are limited, so we will have to pace ourselves and ensure that whatever we do it as economically as possible and try and get the most value for what we are hoping to do. In 2021, we are hoping, as I said before, to complete the repair shop. We expect that we would see some improvement in the refurbishing of some staff quarters at the asphalt plant. And we are hoping that we will have some general upgrade at the asphalt plant, Mr. President. We will look at the pedestrian facilities in and around Charlestown. We will work with our traffic department and see how best we can not only look at the traffic flows and the pedestrian flows, but also see how best we can improve those facilities in our center, Mr. President. 2020 has been a challenging year. And I believe that with the limited resources that we have had to work with across the various departments within the ministry, Public Works, Water Department, Post Office, Labor. I believe that they have delivered to the people and to the island of Nevis. And I want to take this opportunity, Mr. President, to thank the Permanent Secretary, Dr. Ernest Stapleton, for... I thought that I was a cool guy, but I believe he's even more cooler than I am under pressure. I'm serious. I believe that I am cool, but the good PS under pressure, I guess that comes with many years of experience. And I want to thank you for having oversight and giving at times wise counsel during 2020. Mr. President, is one thing to get wise counsel. It's another thing to listen and act. Exactly. You know? And I want to thank him for seeing us through this very difficult period. I also want to thank the Assistant Permanent Secretary, Mr. Denzel Stanley, for his role as well, the office staff, all of the directors and managers and the entire team for playing their role in 2020. They have stood the test of time in 2020, and I believe that it sharpened their focus in doing things more economically and more efficiently. I want to use this opportunity also, Mr. President, to thank my cabinet colleagues. 2020, I believe, forged an even closer bond with this cabinet. Our two junior ministers, and I don't necessarily like the connotation of junior ministers, to be honest. Perhaps we can look at changing the designation and call them senators, because nothing is junior about them, Mr. President. They have been here before me. And they have had oversight of two critical areas of the government: education and health. And from all reports, 2020 have tested them. And I want to commend them for working with this team as a single unit to deliver to the people of Nevis. I believe that they have done a yeoman job in education and in health for the people of Nevis.
The most difficult ministry right now.
The Minister of Social Services. Mr. President, I am not certain if the people of Nevis recognize. I'm not certain if the people of Nevis recognize what the role that the social development played in COVID pandemic in 2020. I am a representative of a constituency. And I try to put a lot of pressure on him. I did put a lot of pressure on him, Mr. President, during COVID. And he and his team, Mr. President, have delivered during this COVID pandemic.
Big time. Big time. So the people first.
The people of Nevis must recognize that social services was critically important to keep, in my mind, the sanity of many people in this country.
Oh, yes.
And I say that because even me at times, I believe I was going crazy.
We have counselors.
Right? Social services did a tremendous job. And I want to use my time to say congratulations to the Minister. Minister of Agriculture. He's a different fella. He's different. And when this cabinet gave the Minister of Agriculture the mandate that Nevisians must be able to eat regardless of the situation. He embraced the idea and the concept wholeheartedly. And he ran with it. And we are seeing today, Mr. President, the benefit of his leadership in agriculture.
So we're locally,
The-
national now.
You got, yeah. You know?
I thought it very well.
You know?
Because
Mr.
I'm not saying taught him well.
Well, that's good. It's one thing to teach, and it's another thing to learn, and it's apparent that the Minister of Agriculture would have learned well.
But active, implementing.
And
Nice.
our Premier, Mr. President, and I'm going to say something here, that I know that we are a praying people on the island of Nevis. I want to ask the people of Nevis to pray for our Premier. I am not certain how he did it in COVID. All of us, every single one of us, he was pressured, under pressure. Right?
You got that foundation in Harrisburg.
Well, Hanley's Road connection again, Mr. President. But I want to commend our Premier for his leadership.
Thank you, brother.
I am not going to try and defend him. He can do a tremendous job of defending himself. But what I will say, Mr. President, what I would say, he is a master of winning election, because a lot of people have said that he only knows how to win election.
We continue to.
Right? They have accused him of he only know how to win election, so he must govern.
Well, let the accusation continue. Carry on, continue.
And I am saying in this house that because of his governance and his leadership,
That's why he win.
that we remain standing on the island of Nevis today. 2020, I had an ambitious agenda, Mr. President. Ambitious. The agenda is still there, but tell me, take it easy. Take it easy. Not a sprint, it's a marathon. And I want to say to our people that we are praying people, and I'm asking them to pray for our Premier. Pray a little extra for our Premier, because he have a lot to deal with, and these fellows here, see them? They're not easy. They're not easy. But I believe that he have been able, Mr. President, to keep the ship of state floating under difficult circumstances. And I commend him. The minister, now the minister of representative for Nevis number 3, said he taught the minister number 4 well.
Well,
And you have gone to, what you say, gone to bigger heights? What is it? Larger stage? Mr. President, I will end my discourse right there. I want to end, Mr. President, with, I believe I've gone over my time, Mr. President.
Yes, you have, but I wanted you to finish your...
I want to quickly, Mr. President, offer some words of condolences. The member for Nevis number 3 would have mentioned a few yesterday, the Cranston family from right there in Government Road, who have worked with the Water Department for some 21 years. And I want to say to her family that we are indeed grateful and thankful for her service over the years. I know that it's a very difficult time, and I certainly want to offer them my profound and sincere condolences in the loss of their mom. The Lawrence family there in Coddock Road, Laurie and the entire team, the entire family. My neighbor over the fence from the Anglican Church, who will be laid to rest tomorrow. To the entire Lawrence's family, I certainly want to offer them my condolences on the loss of their mom. And I pray that they will be comforted. Also, to Sarah and Skeet and the family there in Government Road again, who lost Connie and who was laid to rest last week. Another church member. Mr. President, it is never easy losing a loved one. And while we will not or are not permitted to question the Master's plan, I believe that he would have equipped us with a heart to love, and when we lose that loved one, it hurts. For some, Christmas 2020 would be difficult. It would be because of the loss of their loved one, or the loss of a job, or because they are stuck in some foreign land. And I am hopeful and cautiously optimistic that things will get better. The pain will ease, and there will be a light at the end of the tunnel. I also want to take this opportunity to place on record that I will be having a happier Christmas this year due to the birth of my first grand. And Mr. President, I want to, I love my kids to death. I want to say congratulations to my son and his dear wife, Stedway and Akila, for the birth of their first baby girl. It's a proud moment, and this is what it's all about, family. And I want to encourage all of us to draw closer to our family, despite the difficulties and the challenges. I want to wish this budget, Mr. President, safe passage to this honorable House. And I want to wish you and the clerk and the sergeant of arms, my colleagues, the member opposite, team from NNC and One Radio, and the entire staff at the ministry a blessed Christmas and a healthy and prosperous 2021. May it please you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I rise and seek your leave for the adjournment of this honorable House until 3 p.m. this afternoon.
Mr. President, I rise to second that motion.
Question is that this House be adjourned until 3 p.m. this afternoon. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. House adjourned.